Hey guys, Mrs. Vance here, and this is when we are going to Sharpie our Wonder self-portrait, and I'm going to walk you through a few things. I'm not going to make you watch me do the entire thing. This is going to take you 2 days. It does take a little bit of time to do this step, okay? You need to use a Sharpie or any other black permanent marker if it's not permanent. When we go to do the watercolor step, which is last, then you're going to struggle a little bit because that marker will most likely bleed. So it needs to be a permanent marker so that it does not bleed. Okay. The first thing you're going to want to do is probably just trace your face and get that all taken care of. And remember, we drew in the style of that Wonder book cover and those movie posters that I showed you. All right, so I'm going to go over here. So, and then I'm going to be nice and careful when I go to trace over my eye. And then I'm not coloring in the iris, I'm just coloring in the pupil. I don't know why I forgot to do my chin down here. All right, and then I've got my name, which remember I wanted to make in kind of that like cursive style, but have it hiding behind my hair a little bit. And now when I'm going over it with the Sharpie, I'm kind of making a little bolder, maybe changing the typeface, the font a little bit, the way I drew it, just adjusting it for how I want it to look in the finish, okay? So we are going to color in the hair as well, but I actually want you to do that last. It's going to take you a while. You do still need to use that Sharpie, and you got to kind of work in small sections. So I'm kind of working in small chunks and working my way down because my hair would fall downward. We don't want to color sideways or back and forth, because you will see little strokes. So again, I'm going to have you do this last, but I just wanted to show you what I mean. So this is going to get solid black over here, solid black over here. The rest of the inside of your face will stay white. Okay? All right, so going back up to our lettering then. So I mentioned when we were doing it that we wanted to make some big and some small. So the same thing goes for when you actually go to trace your lettering. Like this one is artistic. I'm going to make my letters have a little bit of character to them, because to me, that kind of makes sense with artistic, right? So notice how I'm just changing my typeface a little bit as I trace. So if this is a little bit too advanced for you, think about just making some words thicker and some words thinner with your Sharpie as you go. So just tracing your handwriting exactly, or going it over a couple times to make your lines a little thicker and bolder so that that word stands out a little bit more. And I'll show you what I mean here after I finish up artistic. Okay, so like for softball, I can just trace it. What I am going to do is maybe add the little stripes as if it was an actual softball. It's kind of hard to see on here, but that's all right. Making sure I don't trace anything into the head. I am kind of cleaning up my pencil a little bit, so we'll go back and erase before we finish it up. So tracing Grumpy, leader. Okay, but like let's say I wanted to make energetic a little bit more bold. So this is what I mean by just bolding it. So I'm going to go over it all once. Then I'm going to go back and basically kind of like trace around it to make everything a little thicker. But I have to be careful. I don't want the letters to kind of get smushed up against each other. Okay, being careful with that T in the eye and the C because it's close to my edge there. Okay, so you can definitely see the difference of the ones next to it versus this one. It's a lot more bold, and it's going to stand out a little bit more than the others. So like I put animal lover on 2 different lines, so I would want to make sure bold then looks a little different. So haha, I'm going to make it bold because it is bold. And I squeezed this in right on the corner. I think I added that one almost last. Okay, if you wanted to change things up a little bit, like I'm going to do some dashes, and I'll show you what that looks like, so I'll erase my pencil in a second. So I'm like just kind of making dashes instead of tracing solid where it says kind, and I'll show you what that then looks like. So when I go to erase, so then it creates just this different kind of lettering, right? Then we don't see the connections anymore. So it just looks a little bit different. So I definitely suggest starting at the top and working your way down. But if you would rather start with like your fancier words, so like mine would be artistic, athletic, coach, teacher, all of those. If you want to start with those first, you could. Don't forget about like bubble letters, so you could round everything out. So while you're tracing, you could round your edges a little bit more to get a really easy, different effect just by rounding your corners when you trace around the letters. So I did that with fun down here. Okay, so it is going to take you a while. Again, I'm going to give you 2 days to get everything traced and copied, and then get that hair colored in as well. And then we're going to finish this off with some painting. We're going to talk about our personalities and whether we have more of a blue personality or a warm colored personality. So kind of our warms and cool colors, then that's what we're going to use to kind of tie-dye our background. All right, guys, have a good one.